Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Sipping Tea, and today I'm going to tell you all about the Cold War Era 1 Tech Tree FV4005 Stage 2 57. Briefly, however, before I get into that, I just wish to issue a huge thanks to my patrons NB Hollywood, Nagair898 and TankerTuff66. Thank you all so much for your continued support, as it really does help me continue to produce content on this channel. So, with that all being said, let's get into it. So, just to briefly address which tank I am looking at, as stated in the introduction to the video, it is the FV4005 Stage 257. So it is in fact the Cold War variant of this tank destroyer and not the Tier 10 British World War II variant. So I just want to make sure that that is quite clear right from the very beginning. So as I said, you will find this in Era 1, which is otherwise known as post-war in Cold War for the Western Alliance. This isn't a premium tank, of course. It is a tech tree tank, so instead of the battle earn rates, because naturally they will be quite standard as a tech tree tank, I will focus first on the cost of the tank. So to purchase this tank, assuming of course that you have unlocked it by going up the tech tree, going through the charioteer, the conway into this tank, it will cost you 4,380,000 silver. Upon purchasing the tank and fully upgrading it, let's get straight into the key statistics. You will find that the penetration of the gun, so the standard rounds are 310mm, with Hesh coming in at 240mm and high explosive coming in at 92mm. The damage is 1,150 for the armor penetrating, 1,450 for both the Hesh and the high explosive. So truly an enormous amount of damage for this gun. I mean, it is by far the highest shell damage that you will find in Cold War. This tank is as feared in Cold War as I think it is in World War II. So yeah, it's definitely a line that is worth going up, if nothing else for that fear factor and really sort of sticking it to the enemy. Carrying on with the gun statistics, you will find in its sort of vanilla state, of course, that the reload time is 30 seconds with a aim time of 2.5 seconds. The rate of fire is, well, 2 rounds per minute as standard, of course, so you will want to do everything within your power to reduce that reload time. So you know, all of the equipment, consumables and commander skills. You will find that the tank has 0.38 accuracy, which isn't terribly accurate, but again, that can be buffed with the relevant bits and bobs, so it does improve significantly later down the line, mostly with the commander skills, of course. Gun depression is an impressive 10 degrees, and the elevation is just 8 degrees, so it doesn't really look up, but it does look down. Moving on from there, let's take a look at the HP. So this tank does offer 1,950 points of HP. From there, let's take a look at the speed. So maximum forward speed is 56.3 kilometers an hour, and maximum reverse speed is 14.5 kilometers an hour. The fire chance of the engine is a horrifying 20%. Oh my goodness. So yes, the fire extinguisher may well be your chosen consumable of choice, but well, strange things happen when you play this tank. You may well have noticed already. From there, regarding the vision range and the still concealment, the cheat sheet will of course have been up throughout this key statistics, so you can see what I've got that at as at time of recording, while that tank is in my garage. Moving on from there, let's now take a look at the consumables. So yes, the graphic will be on the screen, but you will have seen, of course, in the gameplay that this isn't your well, usual consumables review, or recommendation at least, from one of my videos. So here I have the premium repair kit, the standard med kit, and I also have the enhanced hull patch kit. I personally found that the hull patch kit has proven itself to be extremely good on this tank, despite the fact that it only just has about 2000 HP, or just shy of it. That hull patch kit really has come in clutch a few times for me, where without it I would have been sent back to the garage. Thinking of a game quite recently where after using it I was then sent down to just 7 HP, which, well, yeah, I wouldn't have had I have not used the hull patch kit. My thought and rationale behind not using a fire extinguisher on a tank that has a staggering 20% fire chance is that because this tank is so thinly armoured and is by no means a front-line tank, if I'm being shot at, or certainly being shot at with any sort of likelihood of being set on fire, so in other words the main sort of hull being shot, then the chances are the team has collapsed and things have all gone a bit wrong anyway. So if I'm just set on fire at that point, then, well, it probably just speeds up the inevitable demise by, well, a few seconds. That has proven to be the case for the most part. But, well, obviously there will be some exceptions to that, but in my experience, the fire extinguisher on this tank perhaps isn't worth going for. I know you're all going to think that I've been kidnapped or something for saying something like that, but yeah, you've just heard me say that the fire extinguisher perhaps isn't necessary on this tank. Swiftly moving on from there, before I go lightheaded, I'm going to now talk about the commander skills. So once again you will see a graphic on the screen just here, and this particular tank does have a fairly well equipped commander, mainly because I have played this tank an awful lot. I've got well in excess of 1 million experience on this tank. Just because, yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed playing it, and as a result of that, the commander does have a lot of skills. So, starting with the skills then, what have I got on this commander? So I have got Born Leader, Sixth Sense, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Iron Mace, Muffled Shot, and Camouflage expertise. Now I do intend to continue with the camouflage side of things for at least one more skill with this commander, but what the final 9th skill will be, I'm not entirely certain. It's yet to be decided for this tank and commander. But one thing that I will say is that I will keep well, a fully equipped commander in this tank, so it will have no less than 7 skills and ideally up to 9. This tank deserves it. This tank is the one that I play if I just want to have a bit of fun and usually a bit of stress relief, because there's nothing quite like pulling that trigger, hearing a cataclysmic kaboom, and the enemy HP, hopefully anyway, falls right off it, and you ruin someone's day, which is a rather unfortunate side effect from this tank, but I manage to sleep at night all the same. So this is the part where we now take a quick look at the armour of the FV4005. So as some of you may well be aware, the FV4005 doesn't really have too much to offer in the armour department, so this will be quite quick, I would imagine. So jumping straight into it, you can see here that 6mm is sort of the outer side skirts of the tank, as well as the sort of bulldozer scoop at the back. 14mm is the entirety of the turret along with the rear engine deck. 17mm is the underside of the hull. 20mm is a very small plate right at the very back of the tank. 25mm is what you get for the tracks. 28mm is what you get for the upper deck of the hull and underneath the turret. 30mm is the thickness of the gun. 38mm is the very rear plate of the tank. 50mm is the inner armour of the hull. And finally 76mm, the very thickest part of the armour of this tank, is both the upper and lower plate at the very front of the tank. So yes, not too much really to sort of boast about here regarding the armour. But of course this tank isn't about the armour, it's not about survivability through tough armour, it's all about being a glass cannon, so rolling around with a huge gun with massive damage potential. So moving on from there, let's now take a quick look at the equipment. So you'll see from the little graphic that I put up on the screen just here that I have improved ventilation, advanced loader, and also advanced gun laying drive. So the reason for this choice is, well, mostly because the vertical stabilizer is not available on this vehicle, else I would absolutely have that in place of the advanced gun laying drive, or possibly the vents. But otherwise I've chosen the ventilation purely because that of course benefits the crew performance, it buffs it by 5%, so it's improving all manner of different aspects of the tank, so quite an important addition just there. The advanced loader, loading time reduced by 10%, so enormous difference just there. I mean, that in itself reduces the loading time by 3 seconds, which if you're in a bit of a muddle, you're staring down an enemy that is, well, wanting to take your spleen, then yeah, a reduced loading time is always going to be very welcome. And the advanced gun laying drive, shell aiming speed improved by 12%. So this is really going to be really only beneficial if you're sort of doing your crouching tiger, hidden dragon impression. My mind always goes to Fateful Ridge whenever I think of this, where I'm sort of invariably hiding up on a hill somewhere, trying to be hidden in some foliage, around trees and so on. And the enemies invariably always beetling about, never really sitting still for too long in one place. So the improved shell aiming speed really does help considerably when it comes to getting those shots in relatively quickly. So in conclusion, I would say that the FV4005 is very much worth your attention. I would say that it is by far my most favourite tank in Era 1 of Cold War. I've got over 1.1 million experience on it currently, which I think really is great testament to how good it is. The fact that I play a tank that much, and that's also had a little bit skimmed off over time where I've converted some of that for EXP. So yeah, it's such a good tank, it really is. If you've already got it and have experienced it, or even experienced it in World War II, then you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't already got it, but you have experienced it on the sharp end, as in you've been shot by it in your games, then you will know that this tank really does pack a punch, and there is nothing more satisfying than watching a 4-figure sum of HP just fall off the enemy tank that you're shooting at. It really is a fantastic feeling, and it's not something that you really get to experience too much in this game. There's only a select few tanks that actually have that ability in Cold War and indeed World War II. So for that reason, if nothing else, I think it is very much worth your attention. From there, I just wish to invite you to really leave a comment down below. Do you have this tank? What are your thoughts on the tank? Do you not have this tank, and therefore perhaps what are your thoughts on this tank? Do you enjoy getting shot by it? I want to see if anyone does. You know, are there any weirdos out there that like being shot by really big guns? But leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the tank. I just want to say again a huge thanks to my patrons MB Hollywood, Nagair898 and TankerTough66. Thank you so much for your continued support, and if any of you out there would like to have your name shouted out in these videos, then please do click on the link down in the description to my Patreon and become a patron. Even the smallest amount each month, just a couple of dollars or so, will be enough to get your name shouted out. So if you fancy supporting me, if you are in a position where you can do so financially, then please do go ahead, find that link and be generous. But besides that, you'll also find a link to my Twitch channel as well, along with Twitter, so make sure to follow me on both of those platforms as well, just to make sure that you get the most of my content. But with that all being said, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.